Well, that was not fun at Kentucky Proud Park. Indiana's number 9 hitter, Peter Serruto, who has an OPS under 700, only 2 home runs of the year, hits an oppo shot in the 8th inning with runners on the corners and a ball that climbs over the right field fence there at Kentucky Proud Park. And it ends up being the difference. Kentucky held a 3-1 lead, and things kind of unraveled from that point. Daniel, just a game of missed opportunities in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So many missed opportunities. The thing I hate most about this game is it's going to tarnish Zack Lee's brilliant performance. I mean, 9 strikeouts. He was absolutely dealing the entire game, and then that's going to be his legacy of this game is giving up that home run, giving up that 3-run home run that leads to the loss. So, the chances were definitely there. It's just they just didn't convert with runners in scoring position. I didn't see what the final runners left on base count was, but I'm sure it was high because it just seemed like they left so many guys on base. And this loss really, really hurts them. This is twice this year that they've had near record crowds, if not the record crowd at Kentucky Prep Park, and they've lost. So, it's up to tomorrow now.
Yeah, 10 left on base for the game for Kentucky. They did not have one player with more than one hit. And then Zack Lee, obviously, the game starts off, Indiana leadoff hitter goes yard, deep center field. Kentucky gets in a 1-0 hole early, but Lee from that point was really in cruise control through 6 innings. I mean, totally in cruise control, and then Kentucky grabs 2 runs in the top of the 7th to get that 3-1 lead. And I was somewhat, Lee was rolling, so I get why you want to keep him in there, but he was piling up strikeouts early in the game, and that started to go away there in the 5th and the 6th. And then they stick him out there, he gets in a jam, a close 2-strike call. It was probably a ball, but it was right there on the edge. It could have went Kentucky's way. It doesn't. Indiana's 9 hitter keeps fighting, keeps scrapping, and gets one out, and muscles one out of the ballpark. And that was kind of the game to me. I think hindsight, maybe they would have gone to Darren Williams an inning sooner. Mm-hmm. And then also, but I don't think we're 18 innings through postseason baseball, and the offense just hasn't been good enough. Like, it's got to be better. They're not producing. All year it's the team with bunts, steal bases, movement on the base pass. Today I thought they just didn't hit the right buttons. They had hitting runs on when they got caught on a line drive, double plays. And even one of the runs they got, the second baseman on a double play ball just shoots it over into the left, in left field. And then they have bases loaded. They only get a sac fly out of that there in the 7th. So they could have had a big crooked number there. I think that's really kind of the issue, I think, with this performance so far. They're getting stellar pitching, even with Lee giving up what he gave up. You get your starter give you 7 innings of 4-run ball. Mm-hmm. You should win a college baseball game.
100%.
And they just didn't have it, and a lot of it they're not getting runners on, and they're not creating extra base hits. But that's kind of been a thing for this team all year, not creating a ton of big hits. But they've been able to score runs by manufacturing, and they just haven't been able to manufacture through 2 games.
That's just been kind of the theme of the latter half of the season. Nick Mingione, he thrives on his play that he loves, his bunts, his sack bunts, his steals. But this team has lost 6 of their last 7 conference series for a reason. They got bounced in Hoover not scoring a run for a reason.
Mm-hmm. They've been back to that, right?
It's just been the back half of this season just has not been the pitching has been phenomenal. Travis Smith got better and better. He kind of fell off at the end, but he hit his peak there. Zack Lee really hit his peak there. Then, Mason, Darren, even Evan Byers, some of the relief guys were really hitting their strides. And it's just the offense really hasn't showed up. Devin Burks has really been the only consistent batter over the last two and a half weeks for this team. So, another clunker today, and which comes back to bite him.
Yeah, and you feel for Burks on that drive down the right. If that happens in the 6th inning, it's probably a home run. The sun goes down.
Yeah.
Ball doesn't travel as well. He hit that ball harder than the Indiana home run. It was just a line drive. And you feel for him because Gilliam had a line out when they had runners moving, when they had a runner on third. Mm-hmm. If that ball if it's 5 feet to the left or 5 feet to the right, it's a gapper. It might give him another double.
Yeah.
So you feel for that. But overall, just disappointing because they faced an Indiana staff where the SEC team should really be able to score some runs on them. That is the most disappointing part, I think. And now they're in the same position they were in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
They lost in this game against NC State.
Yep.
On Saturday evening. They were able to bounce back. They beat Indiana on Sunday and then beat NC State Sunday night and then again on Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if they can do the same here. The only issue I have is Kentucky had the most powerful lineup back in that regional. And I think they're third in this regional behind West Virginia and Indiana. Just for overall lineup balance and power. Mm-hmm. And so can they produce enough runs? And now you've got to go those extra 9 innings with your pitching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Or extra 18 if you've got to beat Indiana twice. And so that's going to be difficult, I think, for Kentucky moving forward here. I mean, any idea who you think they'll start against West Virginia?
That's what I was just thinking. That might be really the worst thing to happen to them is their pitching staff now. Zack Lee's been burned. Travis Smith's been burned. Mason Moore threw 50 pitches yesterday. I know Darren probably didn't throw that many tonight, but
27.
I'd be shocked if he started. I don't know if they tried out Logan Martin. I know he's been kind of he hasn't really started that much towards the end of the season. My guess would be Austin Strickland. Maybe go.
Or they bring Bozema back. He started in big games before. I mean, but you're running out of options here. Even if you beat West Virginia, you've just kind of got to put this together. Like we could see a thing where we see a pitcher we haven't seen before. Like Darren Williams, it's just how 27 pitches he can probably throw tomorrow.
Yeah.
But then he's going to be no-go on Monday. So you got to figure out when do you want to use him. If you're going to use him, you need to use him right away. It's win or go home. So you got to figure out right away. And then what do you have left for Indiana? But West Virginia, it's a loaded staff, and they really run steal bases a ton. I believe they scored 13 today, and they scored 6 against Indiana.
Yeah.
So they're going to score some runs. So Kentucky, they got to score runs to win. I think tomorrow their backs are really against the wall, and it's just how thin the margins are in this sport. If you hold on to that win, you're in great shape because then you're going to have a full pick of your staff. You could even save Williams and not throw him on Sunday and save him to start on Monday. Now, you got to do whatever it takes to beat Indiana tomorrow at noon, and then hopefully play Indiana tomorrow at 6. But you mentioned that crowd, Daniel. Just what was the atmosphere like there at KPP today?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there personally, but seeing it on TV and on social media, they set the attendance record. It was rocking, and Serruto hit that home run, and it was just dead silence.
Yeah,
that's another. It's just you hate it for that crowd. I mean, that's now that game and the Louisville game where you get massive crowds.
Yeah,
and then they just failed to deliver today, and then so you just kind of feel for all the fans that showed up. So, but you just got to hope that they show up tomorrow. Yeah. The same.
You felt. I think the football team went through something like this at home where they kept getting like these big atmospheres and they just could not finish the deal at home. Mm-hmm. And it's tough when you're in a rebuild like this and you're trying to get fans excited. You get them out there at the park and they come out there and your offense can't score. I mean, the little game they were shut out, right? It was 8-0, I think.
Yeah, 7-0, yeah.
Yeah, that's hard, for when you do all this good stuff, but then when people start paying attention, it's just hard. And then I think they were shell-shocked by that home run. You saw, Gilliam had that weird error, and he's been maybe the best defensive first baseman in the SEC. Jackson Gray fumbles the ball in center field, and he's been one of the best defensive outfielders in the country so far this year. So I think they were in a little shell-shock. So how quickly can they bounce back? It's going to be really important here. Anything else you want to leave us with, Daniel?
So they've got their backs against the wall now. I mean, we'll just see how resilient this team is. I mean, they're gonna have to win 2 games in a day. So I mean, it's really gonna come down to who they have out of the pin tomorrow. And even if they do make it to that second game tomorrow, are they gonna have to pull someone out of the crowd or just? Yeah. I mean, at this point, that's what it's looking like. But we'll truly see how resilient this team is tomorrow. They can make a run for it just like they did 6 years ago. They're
probably going to need an unsung hero somewhere along the way. But that'll wrap us up here, and Kentucky's got to get the brooms out. They got to sweep if they're going to make it to the Super Regionals.